Hello, Happy New Year. Welcome to the first ever episode of Heist Seller Stories. This is going to be a new monthly series. I'm going to drop the first week of every month, and I'm basically reaching out to people in the Amazon and entrepreneurship community that I just truly respect and have kind of deep dive, one-on-one interview style conversations with. So in this first episode, we are going to chat with Jamie Paros of Australia, elite level Amazon seller, as well as builder of one of the coolest communities in the Amazon space, the Endgame Network. And if audio is more your thing, this will also be uploaded to the Pro Seller podcast by Sellerize on iTunes and wherever else podcasts are distributed. I'm going to leave a link down in the description below so you can subscribe to that podcast. In addition to these monthly interviews, there will also be weekly content with me and Dima, the founder of Sellerize, as we talk shop about Amazon. Speaking of Sellerize, quick word before we get into the interview. I just became a partner in my favorite Amazon software, Sellerize. Be sure to check it out. I use it for all of my review automations and review dashboard, my daily, weekly, and monthly profitability analysis. You can swap between different accounts if you've got multiple accounts in international marketplaces. It cuts a financial P&L view, which is awesome. You can get reimbursements automated. Oftentimes Amazon owes you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Automated process to submit tickets for that and make money and recover costs. Smart alerts, if anything bad happens to your listing, it notifies you. If you've got larger products, you can do shipping optimization. It's got tons of URLs. Guys, it rocks. Check it out, sellerize.com/heist for 1 month free. We'll also do regular drawings for anyone that's signed up under the Heist discount code to get a free year free. On to the interview. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the first ever episode of Heist Seller Stories, where really I've reached out to and plan to on a monthly basis people that I look up to in the space, like legitimately my heroes. You know, a lot of people in life have famous rock stars and athletes. My heroes are the entrepreneurs, specifically the Amazon entrepreneurs that are changing the game. In addition to that, people with the right intentions. It's really difficult in this space to find people that are doing it for the right reasons, that are authentic, and that care about people. And then finally, people that I'm aligned with. So all of those things are kind of on my checklist for this series of episodes. And selfishly, these are people that I'm just kind of curious to learn more about. We see a lot of the Amazon story, but we rarely see the pre-Amazon story. So there was no better first guest for me to tap on the shoulder. And he obliged pretty quickly, which I'm stoked about, which is the Thunder from Down Under, Jamie Paros. So Jamie, brother, it's good to have you on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, mate. I owe you a few, mate. You've been on our show a few times and helped Michael and myself out a number of times, and always are willing to help out when we reach out. So of course, love to be on, and bit of a privilege for you to ask me to be on the first show. It's great. Thanks, man.
No, man, it's good to have you on. And again, it's good to meet at normal hours. We're on different spectrums of both the globe and timeline, but we found a time that we're both not wiping sleep from our eyes. So that's always
that's right. That's right. It's difficult with our gig because a lot of our guests are obviously from the Northern Hemisphere, and getting you guys up at early hours is crazy. So yeah, we'll look at that format next year. Maybe do some recordings like this so we can both be in, not have bags under our eyes, but it's all good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So quick soundbite on Jamie. Jamie has accumulated over 7 figures in the Amazon game, really good brand builder. So knows how to build Amazon businesses, has built easily regarded as the best Amazon Facebook community out there. In fact, won some awards here this past year, but is just legit, stacked with value and engagement. And they put a lot out in the community, but also has an interesting backstory too that we'll kind of get into throughout it. And really what Heist Seller Stories is all about is we'll touch on the Amazon game, which is what this channel is all about. But everybody starts somewhere, and we all start from different points. And so, Jamie, why don't we kind of wheel it back? And I actually don't even know if you're born in Australia or what your backstory is, but like, give me a story about where you grew up and kind of walk us back from little Jamie and give us the roots.
Yeah, that's cool. So we grew up in a little country town in northern Victoria, in Victoria in Australia, and I was born in Australia. But yeah, just a really good upbringing, good parents, had a brother and sister younger than me, just normal upbringing, I guess. Nothing too crazy. Had the farm, had some livestock, had motorbikes, just that free country sort of soul, if you want to call it that. And, pre PlayStations and mobile phones and stuff, we're always outside mucking around and building jumps for our bikes and just that outdoor sort of living, which was great. From there, just finished high school in the country town. I didn't really have ambition to go to university. I didn't have that academic drive to do something like that. So we did what all the country boys did in the town, and went and joined the meatworks in the local town and started working there. And they were paying good money, and you'd go out, on the weekend, with your girlfriend and have a wallet full of cash, and as an 18 or 19-year-old, because you're working full time and you thought you were pretty shit hot, But like from there, had an opportunity to buy a truck in a concrete plant from my father-in-law, who'd worked in a concrete plant for many, many years with a cement mixer. And early days, Beck and I, we just like, that's my wife, Beck, and we're like, yeah, cool, it's a pretty cool opportunity. We'll do that. And we're still just young and free, and had our own little self-employment with a little truck and a contract, and it was pretty cool. 23 years old, came home from work, and Beck's crying in the bathroom with a pregnancy test, and she was pregnant with our first child at like 23, and like it was just a bit of a shock because that wasn't planned. But yeah, it was all good. And then by 28, 29 years old, we had 4 kids. We had 2, and then was looking to shut shop and had a third, but ended up being twins. By 28, 29, all my friends, all Beck's friends, they'd all sort of like, still out and partying and still finding their feet in life and what they wanted to do. And we got four little rugrats at home. So I had to just grow up and mature really quickly. And, I guess anyone with kids would understand that sort of feeling of responsibility where now you got to, bring home the bacon. I just felt that, pressure, and Beck was home with the 4 kids. There were 4 kids under 4. So it was like, wow. I was the breadwinner, and I was just like anything I could do to just bring home some cash, So yeah, from there, just moved through different trucking jobs and my own jobs, my own contracts, and I had 2 or 3 trucks and some employees at some point, and was just always hungry for that dollar. But the real work hard for your money hours versus, getting paid really good paying jobs, but on the road all day, 14 hours a day. And yeah, I think it was 2016, 2017. Beck and I just started looking for different ventures, different things that we could earn money on the side, side hustles, selling stuff from home or doing anything,
Yeah.
And yeah, that's when we found the Amazon model, and thought, yeah, maybe that could work, but we're just both driven people, like dedicated people to whatever we do. And, just like yourself and other entrepreneurs out there, we just had it always in us to just that fighting spirit that you talk about, and that obsession to get to your goals. And yeah, that's sort of it in a nutshell. Yeah.
No, that's cool. Well, a couple of things to unpack there for me. And because I knew about the trucking thing, but I didn't know the full background. So I come from definitely not hard done by. I mean, my parents paid for my university, and like straight down the middle class kind of family. So never had any of the like challenges that I think a lot of people do. But one thing that I did have, so my dad was an architect for the Royal Bank of Canada, designed bank branches, and came with that. There's a lot of project management, construction stuff. So I think I was 11 or 12 years old. I think I was 12. And he got me this job in the summer. He's like, I don't want you sitting around like doing whatever. He's like, I got a job. And the job was picking apart pallets. I think it was $3.50 an hour. It was one of his buddies that does like constructions. He's like, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, I got like a whole yard full of pallets. He can like salvage the wood. So it was literally like you watched your watch like every minute, and it was a blue collar job. And then through college, I ran landscape crews and bobcats and the whole 9 yards. And I think it's a relatively unique experience. People that have kind of threaded the blue collar to the more using your brain cells, like white collar space. But man, I'll tell you what, it's made me a wholly different human being in terms of being able to connect with people. Yeah. And like quick wit and some other things. Like, talk to me a little bit about coming from a blue collar background, because it's a totally different mentality. But I think it's a beautiful, like, if it wasn't for like the physical pain, and it's a little bit harder to make a strong living, like I love blue collar environments. Yeah. Like, it's just, it's an amazing place to make a living. So walk me through that and maybe how that informed your world now a little bit.
Yeah, and I reckon you hit the nail on the head big time there, man. Like that's exactly right. I just feel like I can connect with people. I've got that intuition to be able to help people in a way that I can understand their language, and they're trying to make their way through that transition period, I guess, from being, blue collar with entrepreneurial tendencies to try and break free from that matrix, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we're on the farm, problem solving in different ways, and, as a kid and keeping, busy and entertained and building motorbikes and thinking how things worked. And then I got into music. I played in bands through my teenage years. I worked at a drum store. I loved drums. I studied drums. I got quite high in the drumming space and was teaching that at one point as well. So I think the way I come across, I can really, like it's one thing to be able to know something, but it's different to be able to teach it and to relate to people. And I think that message and being an educator is hard to get the point across and connect, because so many people, everyone's different. Like there's so many different types of humans, and I can connect and I have empathy with all sorts, and I can relate to different people's levels. I don't know if that's sort of hitting the mark with where you need to go, but I think pretty much just having tractors at home. I've had bobcats at home. I've still got backhoes and front end loaders at home now because we're on a farm, and it's very practical. And, how am I going to build this fence, and what am I going to do here? And then, where am I going to strain that wire to? How am I going to get the cattle in here? And then problem solving as an entrepreneur, I don't know. It just sort of naturally, you can fight.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think and for me, I think it's interesting, the kind of emotional intelligence, which I think you're doing business with humans regardless, and especially in the Amazon physical products game. And I think this, like, physical products are real, right? They get made, they get manufactured, they get shipped. So I think there's something about that world that you and I probably both come from that it's interesting how it applies. But anyway, I think that's a curious part of your backstory.
Yeah.
So
cool.
so kind of tapping into the Amazon, because there's a lot of different, like, you got this like farm kid from Australia who's running a trucking company with 4 kids, like that, Amazon getting into the like e-com Amazon game is near the bottom of the list of what I would have you pegged as doing. So like, how does that even happen?
Especially the beauty niche that we're in.
Yeah, in the beauty niche of all things. Yeah,
I know.
Although you're handsome SOB, if I do say so myself. So maybe there's a correlation there.
Yeah, look, man. Like I said, we were prepared we'd run businesses, our own business, I guess, or self-employment. And Beck was just like, I'm going on these holidays at Christmas. I'm doing this, I'm doing that with the kids. And, tonight we've got parent teacher interviews, or the kids have got this on that day. And I'm like, I can't come. I'm in the truck. If I'm not in behind that wheel, we ain't eating. You know what I mean? So,
and was she working for your company as well? Or did she have her own gig?
Okay. No. She was just full-time mom, 4 kids, it was full on. School runs, house, I was lucky enough to really have the job that enabled her to stay at home, because I know some people can't do that. Both parents need to be working. So I was blessed from that point of view,
Sweet.
But it meant that I was away. So I'd get photos with Beck and the kids, on holidays at Christmas time, and I'd be working, and it just killed me, man. And we just always used to have conversations. There's got to be a better way. Like I was always intuitive with all these other entrepreneurs and listening to all these different podcasts and all this in my truck, because I'm just driving around and getting all this information going, I've got to start working smarter, not harder. And you hear it a million times. It's so cliche, but what does that actually look like? You know what I mean? I think the enticing thing about Amazon is that mums, dads, anyone, singles, whoever, it's a really good way to get into a business at an entry level that's, it's not opening up a shop, bricks and mortar. It's not going to buy 10 trucks or a business. People who haven't got that sort of capital behind them to go and buy a business, or maybe not that nous, or haven't had that experience, it's a really good entry level 100%. To get into the world of business and even just trading and communicating with other people with your money. Because a lot of the time we're working for companies or what have you with other people's money. When it becomes your money, it's a whole different mindset, and it's a whole different psychological game. So Amazon's a really good test. So we looked at Amazon. We did a course here in Australia, which was fantastic. Met a lot of people through a community, and from there Had a real lot of success. We met a business partner. So our actual brand, we have another business partner, and his name is Mark, and he's like a very big and integral part of our business and mine and Beck's life. He came on board, and we're all together in on the business, and
Cool.
we get along, really, really well. I often say this to a lot of people that after doing this business with a partner, I think that there's a lot of businesses out there where you do things with the partners, and then Amazon business, you feel you need to go do that on your own. But I think there's so much to this business that you can get with doing it with someone else as well. Because you'll obviously know you get a lot of people who are creative driven, then you got a lot of people that are, data driven. If you can mix those two, sometimes that's potent, not to mention putting your capital together. So I've met people through the Endgame network who have got amazing partnerships in this business. And I think that's overlooked sometimes. And even the workload on your own, splitting that between you and knowing your roles, I think there's something there. Yeah. So we had really amazing success straight off the bat, built an awesome brand in the beauty niche, like I said, sort of hit some really cool USP, like unique selling proposition with our products, which, you talk about a lot. It's all good to have the data, but you still got to have that killer blow or 2 or 3 blows of, why is someone going to swipe their credit card to buy my stuff? Yeah. We sort of hit the nail on their head there, and one thing led to another. I spoke off air about it with you, and I haven't really talked about this with many people, but I had a car accident, which I'm just going through some back issues at the moment, and that forced me out of my truck. For whatever that reason that was, whether it's the universe or not, saying it's time for you to get out and do something different.
Crazy.
At the time, I was really down and out because obviously 4 kids, business, it's my sole income. And one thing led to another with a few series of events, and obviously my business partner in the end game with Michael, as you know, good friends of ours, yours, sorry, and started Endgame. We'll touch on Aussie sellers, I guess, in the community down here, but we just found we built something that we knew we would have liked to have at the stage where we were at. But I'll let you ask the questions.
No, that's so good. So a couple things there for me, and we'll get into the end game, but just to unpack Amazon a little bit. So 2 points real quick, and this isn't related to your back injury, but just kind of a question for you. I kind of think of it in terms of there's pain motivators. Like you can either take the painkiller or you can take the vitamin. You know what I mean? Like and you can get motivated by 2 things. Sometimes it's motivated by positive things. Sometimes it's motivated by pain. If you were to kind of look at the decision point for you on Amazon, was it, hey, I can build this cool new thing, I can make some more money, like this is kind of I want to challenge myself creatively? Or is it like, I can't keep living like this anymore and I've got to find a different path? Like, because I think that there's a deep, whether it's psychological or it's front of mind all the time, like we've got these deeply rooted motivators, and sometimes they're painkillers and sometimes they're vitamins. For you, what was it to make that Amazon leap?
I think I've gone through stages, and I think everyone will. Like in the beginning, like in that car accident, like my bonnet was up in my windshield, and it was pretty full on, and they're getting me out of the car and stuff. And I remember at that moment going, this is it. Like I was supposed to have this accident. I don't know why I thought that while I was in the car, man, like it was crazy. And I remember going back to work, getting my truck, going home, going, I'm not going to go back to work. I know that this was the universe saying, you've done all this stuff and you've got all these ideas and all these people to talk to and all these people to help. Man, why won't you just get out of that thing? But there was that leap of faith with the kids and everything. And so they went bang and just crushed my back and said, you can't do it anymore. You have to do this. It's wild. A little bit, it's crazy, but that's just how I see it. But going back to the stages, in the beginning, it was just like, got to make more money and got to sacrifice some, like, even if I was to get out of the truck 2 or 3 days a week and put a driver in there, make enough money to cover his wages so I could be home a bit more. Like that was the mindset then.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you go through stages as an entrepreneur, and that through that transition period with ideas and creativeness, and also backing yourself and ability, where money's not the attachment. When money doesn't become the attachment, then it's just about how far can I go as a human being? How many people can I help? And who can I meet along the journey? Like if I hadn't started Endgame, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And I look for signs along my journey, and I'm really good with that awareness. And so is Michael, about why is this person coming into my life for? What is that going to lead to? Like, I don't know what's going to happen between me and you in the future. We just don't know. You know
We
what I
could
mean?
get married for all we know. Who knows?
That's right.
Back might get cold. You know, I might
You,
visit Australia one time.
you might
Weird
be
things
able
have
to drop
happened.
my handicap in golf by 10 shots. I don't know.
I think it'll be the other
So,
way around.
but we're really good now at working out what is good for our energy, what's good for our relationships, and what's good for business. And when you can marry them all without money being the attachment, magic happens. But it's just so hard at the start because you're working 9 to 5, you get home and your boss, you know, you're just kids and dinner and dishes. And it's like, oh, now I've got to do an hour or two on my Amazon business.
Yep.
And it's hard.
Yep.
It's hard for people.
Yeah, and I think I mean it's all about planting seeds for me, and it's never easy ever. But perspective changes. I think the hardest part in Amazon is when you haven't realized the success yet, and it doesn't need to be huge successes, but you haven't even sold anything yet, or you haven't hit $5,000 a month, or you haven't hit 10 grand a month. Like it doesn't feels like it's fruitless. And then you've got pressure at work, you've got, you know, family and there's that weird period in time, and it could be, you know, 1 to 2 years with Amazon for some folks where you don't get to bear the harvest. But I think the folks that press through that period on the other side of that spectrum is really special. And it's cool that you've kind of made the pass across that.
There's that obsession, and there's no two ways about that. We spoke about, you know, people and everything before we got on the show. And, you know, the people that you see make it time and time again have got that obsession to whether it's, and I wouldn't even say it's monetary. It's just to say that they made it, they done it, they got that achievement, they reached that goal. What's next? Like, who can I meet? Who can I have this journey with? Who can I share this journey with? Obsession is huge in this game. You have to be obsessed because people think, oh, you know, I'll start my own business to give myself a little bit more freedom. It's actually the opposite. It's really the opposite. Because if you're working 9 to 5, you clock off, you get home, and there's nothing on your mind.
And you have mental freedom. You never get mental freedom as an entrepreneur. It's always there's no off switch. To your point,
all my friends. It's obviously Christmas time of the time of this recording. I'm not sure when it'll be shown, but like all my friends are getting ready to like shut shop, you know, jump in the van and head off for the break. Like, man, I've got so much shit to do. It's just not funny over this break, and like I'm not complaining. I love it. It's just who I am. It's my fabric. And I've got to get better at that because I've obviously got 4 teenagers and we're making steps towards being able to do that because that's what we did it for in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's hard to switch off, man. Like, man, if there was an app, or there probably is, or if there was like some sort of like guru to tell us how to switch off, entrepreneurs would be awesome. I see you skiing and shit every day and playing golf. I'm like, and then after that, you're in bed with your dogs and chilling. I'm like, man, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, as you know, there's a lot that goes on in between that, but yeah,
of course,
it's cool. So a couple more things before we move on to Endgame, just on the Amazon stuff. Just I know a little bit about like how you think about the game and what you think is important, but I'd be curious, just like walk me through your methodology as you think about the Amazon space and where you think successful sellers should kind of go. So that's kind of question number one, and then either weave it in within that and or answer it separately. But what has had the biggest positive impact on your business here over the last year that has kind of resonated with you? So kind of methodology and then biggest impact.
Okay, methodology, definitely people understanding the different areas that you need to tick boxes off in this game. You talk about it weekly and all the time. Your channel is like a go-to. Like it really is. The plethora of information there is unbelievable. People needing to understand data and a go zone. And also what I think people need to understand is that, you know, saturated markets in Amazon, and this is a tricky one, like, because we all know how to distinguish a saturated market, but if you've got innovation and if you've got like some unbelievable unique selling proposition, and not just talking about changing up colors here, I'm talking about like real innovation, you can really make an impact in any market with innovation. Maybe it's going to be slower because it's the IP needs to be protected or so forth, but innovation and solving problems, and like I said before, making sure that person goes, look at all, oh my, I'm swiping 100%. On that. You know what I mean? So unique selling proposition, I think, and product selection is key.
Yep.
Backing it up with your understanding of data, how to rank the algorithm in your favor, that's a whole other thing. But where people, I think, need to go with methodology is making sure that your product has a good enough reason to beat everybody else. In a nutshell.
And everything else is easy. I mean, if
everything
you know
else
the
is
data,
execution.
Everything else, it makes the leverage of that USP and making the thoughtful decision there and taking the time there.
Yeah.
Makes pay-per-click easier. It makes ranking easier. It makes understanding data easier. Makes longevity easier. Makes reviews easier. Like it's the first domino that you can get right. Yeah,
and I think another thing is like people with the notion of like okay, I've got differentiation, and like we've learned this through teaching people this year that differentiation is okay, but the thing is, oh, I forgot what I was going to say, but that's all right. I just slipped my mind. No, it's all good. It'll come back to me. But yeah, the methodology around the USP is like we've got some students that we deal with, just me and Michael, through the end game, and they'll come to us with differentiation. But the thing is, that's what I was going to say. I got it. Can you sell it in the photo though? Because people have got awesome ideas.
Visual differentiation is the most important for sure.
Because I'm like, man, that's killer, but how are you going to sell it?
Yep. 100%.
Like I can't get to photo 4 to work that shit out. Excuse the French, but like that hero, if you've got him for 0.2 second or a second, like you've got to nail it there. And I know we all talk about it, but ideas of differentiation, then say, how can I sell it? In an image.
100%.
It has to be. Because we've had students that have got great differentiation. We go, hang on a minute. Let's just think about this for a minute, because what is that photo going to look like? How are you going to sell that?
And there's also over differentiation. I've seen that too. Like you don't need 5 different, like sometimes you can spin yourself around and it gets confusing and customers may not value it or they may not add it up the way that you do. So you can overdo it too.
Exactly.
I think I've seen that. So yeah, that's awesome. So in terms of the impact this year, what's been the one, like looking back kind of 12-ish months, like, hey man, that thing changed my business this year and I'm glad I did it.
Look, I spoke a fair again with you about changing a supplier. We had a relationship for 2 years and it just went downhill, which is going to happen, staying emotionally leveled. And I love watching your Monday sessions. If something really good happens in our business, I stay level. If something really bad happens, I stay level. And we've also talked about this in our student group where you appeared with our students one time very graciously, staying emotionally balanced and going through the bad scenarios in your head as you, going through all the worst case. I'd like to celebrate more when things go well, but as an entrepreneur that's been hit a few times, you just know that there's going to be someone smashing you from the side pretty soon. And that's what happened this year. So we had to change supplier pretty rapidly. They launched 3 brands, a lot of our products, a lot of different things, which was tough. And to find another supplier in our niche was hard. Took about 3 or 4 months because all our funnels and all their tentacles led back to the main factory. And so it was really hard. And as you know, certain provinces in China, they all deal with certain products. So we're all in the same area, but it's all leading back to him. But we found someone, they're great, like chalk and cheese, quality's amazing. But it happened in August. We put an order in straight away, big orders, but we just couldn't get our stuff in time for this year. But next year, we just know we're gonna slay it. But Endgame was along there as well, and it's just understanding the cycle and what happened and COVID, and it was just real cool about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's get in, and that's awesome perspective, and I think it'll help a lot of people, especially on the USP stuff. I think that's visual differentiation is key too. So Endgame, I'll kind of maybe give my Endgame story, because it's really special what you guys have built, and for those, we'll plug it at the end, but I'll leave a link in the description on this Facebook group. It's you gotta fill out a form, and Jamie like validates that folks are real and they're not going to be spamming and stuff, but good folks from this channel will definitely let in. And I know we have a lot of crossover. I think there's a lot of Aussies from my community that frankly originated from the Endgame, but it literally is there's very few, in my opinion, safe spaces in the Amazon game. Unfortunately, the waters are littered with crocodiles, and it's hard, especially as a newbie kind of entering the space, kind of figuring out what's what. And it's also, it can be depressing. And I oftentimes tell people not to be members of Amazon groups because there's so much surface level nonsense that occurs and questions. And Again, we all have to start from somewhere, but it can bring you down and it can depress you. And if you spend too much time at that surface level without getting the real information from real people that you can connect with, it can really derail the journey. And I think Endgame serves as, like I said, one of the safe spaces in the ecosystem that is the Amazon community. And just frankly, the engagement is bonkers. I mean, I think you're very similar to me. I don't have a huge YouTube channel, but it's pretty often that I'll get 100 plus comments, right? And it's the same thing with a post on the end game, whatever it is, 3,000 deep or somewhere around there. Same kind of deal, just off the charts engagement. And really, even people that are new to the game, really good heads on their shoulders, just good human beings. I equate it to Endgame is like the big virtual pub that you'd love to go to on a Friday and like order a pitcher of beer. Like, it's like one of those, like, it's a fun environment like that. Even though there's business there, it's people being real. Yeah. So it's a special place. How did it come about? And just walk me through, for others that are building brands and building communities and trying to figure out how should I approach business or approach the game. Walk me through a little bit about how that community came together, because it's super special what you've built, and maybe you don't know how it happened, but if you can kind of diagnose some of the elements that made it come to being, I'd be really curious to see that story.
Yeah, look, basically, we're part of a community here in Australia, and I was obsessed with Amazon. We started our Amazon journey, and I was like, said to my wife, we've got to make this work, and I want to make it work. And we're part of this community. As I said, we do the course, and basically, once you go around the sun once, you sort of start seeing some things, around the world where, like, oh, I want to grab that bit of information. Oh, I've never knew about that. Or I want to see that. I want to hear that person. And you just start, as you being in the space like yourself, you start to see and resonate with different people around the world that can help your business, because there's a lot of information out there. Like, if your channel was around when I was starting out, like your YouTube channel, my God, like, it would be insane, right? And I think that we just wanted to build a community, and I reached out to Michael early days. I was just helping some folk in Australia here, doing some free Zoom calls. Just, they're all free, but yeah, just doing some calls, helping people out. I started with like 8 people, then it was like 30, then it was 200, and then I'm like, Michael, I've got to send out this link 300 times to some people. They want to jump on and hear these guests and hear these people. That was pre-Endgame. It was just helping people with things that we would have liked to have had when we were learning the business. So there was a hole in the market there where we thought, God, it would have been awesome to have an Adam Runquist or a Danny McMillan or someone like that come on and share their information, or a PPC person come on and give different perspective. And we didn't have that. So I guess it started from that. Basically, Michael and I, obviously my partner in the Endgame, we've done every decision. We've made every decision in this group based on the customer, which is basically, well, they're not customers, our community. Will it bring value? Will it bring engagement? And is there something there? Because you can see in a lot of Facebooks, the spammy, the gurus, the this and that. Yeah. We just wanted to have open source, but the right information that we felt like the community can decide whether or not that resonates with them, but have options.
Yep.
So, your methodologies, your PPC strategies, Danny McMillan, Brian Johnson, talking to Yale Kabili, about exits, or Egler about selling in Europe, or whatever it may be, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Just having the information brought here to Australia, and all perspectives are welcome. And that's how we sort of, I guess, made that switch where, in previous groups where we just didn't have that, you know what I mean? Or I wasn't part of a group where I could do that. I didn't feel safe to go and post on Helium 10's, there's nothing wrong with Helium 10's Facebook group. It's great. But, there's 70,000 members. You do a post and then as soon as you press post, there's probably about 30 posts that have gone in at the same time.
Yeah.
So, us having 2,700 members and that smaller group is actually where we just wanted to be. We just wanted to stay.
It's all signal, no noise. Yeah.
It's just like, people in there sharing. It's a safe zone. You can ask if you want to learn, if you want to ask the most basic of basic questions, not a problem. If you want to ask a really advanced question, no problem. We try and promote entrepreneurs not to be lazy. Like if something can be Googled or you can dig or you can fight, like that's a skill that you need to have. Like it's not that I'm not going to let the post in, but hey, if you want to get some, stripes, these are the sort of questions that you need to be able to like dig for yourself. And I'll reach out to people as an admin of the group and say, hey, I know the answer. I'm going to give it to you, but look, I found this link in 2 seconds.
Yep.
And the reason why we got high engagement is because the posts coming through are relevant, engaging, helping people, that sort of philosophy behind the whole group.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I mean, it's my observation of this too, just to kind of put it in a bottle. I've seen it with your group, and I've just seen it in other situations in life. And you can even look at it from an Amazon seller perspective to your customers. Like there's something about human intuition where if something's a couple degrees off, like people sense it. And I think that the intention that you and Michael have, I think that has created all the other things that have kind of fallen into space and kind of given more momentum and got great guests and attracted good people to the community. Like attracts like. And I think that also people can smell when things are off and when the intention's not there. If you were there to sell shit and you were there to hawk something, which is okay. We're all going to like make a living and there's nothing wrong with that. But if people thought that was your only intention, people sniff that out. So I think there's something about that authenticity and intention that's really key too.
Look, Aussies, I don't know if you know, or you mustn't know, but Aussies hate being sold to, right? They hate it. And their BS detectors are huge. Yeah. I don't know what it's like in the States with Americans, but Aussies hate being sold to and they can smell bullshit from a mile away, right?
Yeah.
And we were very clear that that's just not what we're going to do. We've got a private student group that we do once a year and people can either do it or they don't do it. That's cool by us. There was a lot of people who reached out and said, listen, we want to learn from you guys. And we created something. Otherwise, every fortnight, value, the best people in the world, bringing unbelievable content for free in your living room. That's what we want to do. We have pop-up masterminds 5-in-5s where we just chuck a post in the group, first 5 people on the Zoom, boom, and we're just helping them. 5 people on the screen, don't know them. Yeah. Just, is there anything I can help you with? Yeah, I'm stuck on this. Bang, help you. Look, we've done all that. Aussies hate getting sold to. Like, it's just bullshit.
Yeah, and I mean, it's aligned with my personal philosophy, and I build my Amazon brands in the same way that I build my YouTube channel, which is kind of an idiom that I like is give 9 times, ask once, and then the time that you ask, you get way more than you'd ever want or need, right? Yeah. But if you ask 6 times, give 4 times, it just the formula's off and it gets things out of line. So exactly. To that point, I think one of the like sad commentaries I think on the Amazon space, and I guess you could kind of say the online internet entrepreneur space in general is, I think that there's the caricatures of like the guru that we're all kind of aware of, and it's kind of become old hat now, like the person leaning up against the Lambo and like the chicks and the rented private jet. Like I think we've all seen that, and that's pretty obvious. I think the sadder one for me in the space has just been kind of the people that aren't like, they're not bullshitters. They built legit businesses or somewhat legit businesses, but like you come to kind of find out that their intentions may not be there. So, I've had to kind of have that critical lens as I've thought about the space. And it's sad, but I think in the Amazon game, I always come at it first with like, trust needs to be built, not given right away. Like, and it's just kind of, you get enough scar tissue and that's happened. For you, who it was probably easier at the start, because it's like, hey, I know that there's like these 3 people I'm aligned with, like Danny's cool, and I saw Adam's YouTube and whatever else. Like we seem like we're on the same page. But as you start getting into the 2 meetings a week, which is kind of 24 guests a year, plus now that you're known as a legit entity in the Amazon space, surely you've got people coming out the yin yang, messaging you, wanting to kind of get access to your community. I'm sure it's just insane. So, and I've started to see it a little bit with my YouTube channel too. And like, my lens is a little bit easier because it's mainly like software providers and stuff. And I'm like, look, if I don't use your software, it could be amazing. Like, I'm just not going to talk about it because I want to know that it's something that's part of my workflow that I, that I know and trust. In the case of you and for this series, it's people that I've interacted with offline and kind of have built some trust up. But how have you and Mick kind of like figured that out? Because it's not easy. And that's not to say that you're always perfect. I mean, some will slip through the cracks and you can't always kind of know. But like, what's your radar in terms of how you kind of address that element of the Amazon game, which is kind of a dark space, right? Because it's not the obvious Lambo stuff. Oftentimes it's more subtle than that. And you don't necessarily, it's not surface level, easy to detect all the time.
That's a hard question to answer because it's gut feel, man. Like it's gut feel. You just like, when we first met, it was just like me and Mick got off the call. And it's like, he's our dude. Like it's just, he's our people.
Yeah. I felt the
When
same
you're
way.
talking about service providers for the first time, well, we'll go and check out their stuff and see if it would bring value to some people in our community. We understand our community. We understand the landscape where people are at. And all we can do as a network or people in this space influencing different people in the community is bring a service provider that we think will help people. We obviously, I know a lot of people in the space and talk to a lot of people in the space, so you get to know if there's like dickheads or anything like that. Most people are pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
And you can bring a service like someone who's doing translations, or someone who's doing exits, or someone who's doing PPC, or someone who's doing lawyers or whatever like that. Now, all we preface is that we think this will help you guys. It's up to you if you want to use these people or not. We don't get kickbacks from anyone. We don't do that. That's one of our first rules, and it's going to be our last rule that we always follow by. As soon as I said to Mick, if we ever start taking kickbacks, I'm out, because people can smell the bullshit. So we just say, hey, here's a service provider. We think that they'll bring some value to your business if you're at that stage. You guys make a decision. We're going to get them on the show and deep dive into their program or what they provide or this and that. And hey, it's up to you guys. And they love it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And you guys have done a great job curating the voice of the Amazon space better than I think anybody has. Danny's done a good job, I think, too, with regularity, but you guys have done some cool stuff. All right, man. Well, let me, we'll kind of wrap it up. I could talk to you for hours, but let's, the last topic I kind of wanted to close the loop on. And I think this is just a kind of a testament to that give 9 times, ask once. I don't think many people know that you have a course, which is kind of cool. I think like the fact that you've done all that you've done and given all you've given and not had to like spam people or ask for stuff and like pitch it. But I want to pitch for you because I get people all the time. I don't have a course. And I don't recommend courses, but I think that what you guys have cooking in spring of next year is pretty interesting. So for those that don't know, and I just learned about this, and Mick's involved in the course as well, right?
Oh yeah, both
You're
together.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Jamie and Mick have like a once a year intake where they bring in students and kind of share their formula for the game and things that they've learned and kind of stack up a methodology that people can align with. This past year, it's been heavy kind of touch points, doing calls, doing kind of access via Vox or things like that. You guys have done something cool, I think, for next year to make it more accessible. And I think certainly worth the price of admission, and people will be able to kind of see pretty massive ROI on it if they, even if they have other courses. Tell me a little bit, and in my audience a little bit about what you guys have cooking, what somebody can expect, and where we can where they can get plugged in on the wait list.
For sure, man. Thanks heaps for the thanks heaps for the opportunity. Yeah, we do. We just have a course. It's a once a year intake. We don't plug stuff all through the year. It's just once a year in your spring, our autumn, where we take on people. This year, it's going to be a different format where we can help more people, because we felt like last time it was a little bit pricey, and we gave massive value. Like you ask our students, like we've been on call 24/7 with these people all year, and we've delivered massive value. But as I spoke to you, it's different to spruik something or have something compared to actually explain and educate. So our calls with people is where our strong point is. Our once a week meetings. So and we've actually, I won't let the cat out of the bag, but we've secured 5 mentors that are going to be part of our program next year, which are just world-class in this space, which everyone knows who they are once we announce it. And it's just going to be a really cool, exciting mastermind to be part of, like an intimate group where, I think next year in this space where Amazon's going to be part of our program and how me and Michael deliver things, it's going to be exceptional to be part of. I'm quite excited to deliver it. The format's a little bit different than this year, but that's going to happen in the end of March, start of April next year. But if you're in our Facebook group, you'll hear about it.
No, man. And I think that, it can absolutely be a lonely journey and a scary journey, especially when you're first entering the space and there are all those moving parts and pieces. But I think you guys have created one of the safest spots in the game, and I'm sure your course is even next level from that. So And
awesome.
I know that there'll, we'll hear when you reveal this. I've kind of seen a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, but
Yeah.
really, really like unique and cool software tool that when the time is right, we'll maybe bring you back on. But there's some really cool software that that Jamie is going to fill some white space in the industry with. I guess just with that, maybe I kind of forgot to tap this in the end game. Maybe we'll end with this. I was kind of blown away. So I grew up playing. It's funny. I like all I ever dreamed of as a Canadian kid was becoming a hockey player, right? So I started playing hockey when I was about 4 or 5 years old, as most Canadian kids do, and kind of went at it as hard as I could. Was pretty decent at it, but like in Canada, you basically if you haven't you find out if you've made it when you're about 13 or 14 years old. If you're like really really legit, you actually leave your house and you become a pro player and play against men. Like it's full on. Like pretty early.
Wow.
Well, I didn't make the cut as hockey, so I kind of had this gap in my career where I was like all hockey till about 14. And then I was off. And then in high school, I actually got it. So the sport I was best at was rugby. So I became pretty aware of the Aussie culture just through rugby. I played rugby through high school, and then kind of some kind of elite men league stuff in kind of when I was out of school. So know all about it, like followed all the league play and stuff and admired. I'd stayed up till like the middle of the night to watch like rugby league games and like was fascinated. So I'm aware of Oz from that angle and kind of as a Canadian too, I think that there's a very similar mentality and kind of continuity between the Aussies and Canadians, just can't come up from a similar cloth. But I was freaking blown away with this Amazon Aussie seller community, and I didn't really realize how like insane it was until I became part of the Endgame network. And I think something like 30% of my audience, again, it's probably crossover from the Endgame or like subscribers to the channel or view of the channel or whatever. But like, tell me about this Aussie community, because like for those that don't know, Amazon Oz is kind of hard to sell on. Maybe it'll kind of come together here in the next couple of years, but it's always been more of an eBay game in Oz, and it's been harder to sell. So, but I'll tell you what, it's like ballistic, the community of like really solid human beings and really legit sellers. So tell me a little bit about Amazon Aussies, and maybe we'll kind of close out with that part of the story. And you can let us all know here on this side of the pond what's what.
Look, I think you're spot on between the correlation between Canadians and Australians. And I think I've thought about this a fair bit, like why is there so many people interested in this space? And without going too deep into it, I think it's our culture, like and even like our economic situation where you've got a husband and wife, 2 kids, mortgages, price of houses, like it's expensive to live. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's really expensive. I'm not sure what it's like in Canada, but to live, 5-10 Ks out of a major city, it's really expensive in Australia. And you've got that, I guess, that culture that we've been indoctrinated to like, work, and you've got to do your job, and you put in for your 401k or our superannuation, and you work all your life till you're 60, 65, and then you retire, and then you enjoy your time and you try and bring your kids up the best you can. So there's that pressure on families. A lot of these grandparents now are looking after grandkids because the 2 parents need to work, or younger people are at uni and university, and they're trying to start a business to like pay for their debts, and like, how am I going to do it? Where jobs, like just that whole infrastructure of how we are in this country. And I think Amazon, as people say, it's passive. It ain't passive. Like, it's a full business. But that is what enticed people. And I think that narrative is what got sold to people in this country.
Okay.
But it's very hard without a support network or a proper support network to actually sift through the weeds to say, hey, tell me the truth about this shit. Am I going to make it or not? And what do I need to do?
Yep. And I'm sure there's a legit time zone issue too. Like, you can't jump on calls from all the Americans and Yanks selling stuff. Like, there's something cool about having a homegrown resource that you can kind of trust and lean into, and a community you can lean into. But
I think it's the fluff. We don't sell the fluff.
That's good.
You know what I mean? If you're bred like this, and if you're prepared to do this much work, and you've got this skill set, or if you can tap in with a partner and do something, you'll do great. Yeah. But there's no wrapping paper around it with us.
Okay, I like it.
This is what it is.
And they're not it's not the level of gullibility. Like, it's you can sniff shit a mile away.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, cool.
That's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah, dude. Well, I gotta say, I think a combination of what you and Mick have built is really cool, and the kind of human beings and intention that you have combined with timing of COVID and people being home and what you guys brought to the table in terms of content when people were kind of locked in their houses. And I guess tapping into what you talked about, just kind of that confluence of what's happening in Australia at the moment with Amazon sellers. But whatever it is, man, the universe is conspiring to create something really cool down there. It's so fun to be an observer and participant of your community. You guys have done a ton for my channel and me in terms of bringing folks to the table that I kind of align with. And, you know, I've always said this game is about doing what you care about with people you care about. And I think that if you check those two boxes, it makes it all worthwhile. So, dude, I'm super glad that we crossed paths. I'm sure it won't be the last time we're here on camera. I do want to have your partner, Mick. He's got a really interesting story too, that I've kind of picked up through threads that we'll dive in with him. Probably mid part of the year, we'll add him into the Heist seller stories. But Jamie, I love you, brother. Seriously, I don't have a brother, but man, I feel like super connected to you and like we're aligned, and I can't wait till the time where we get to crack a beer in person and catch up. It just it's weird how you meet in 2D like this, how you can get to know somebody, but it's gonna be fun when we get together in person. And cheers to your community again, guys. I'll leave a link down below and pin a comment for how you can access the Endgame Facebook group. If you are not there, it's the one place you should be on Facebook related to Amazon. I'll also leave a link down to where you can find the Endgame. In March, his course opens up, and I would absolutely 100% vouch for that course. And there's not many that I would, but I just know Jamie and what him and Mick bring to the table. So cheers, brother, man. It was fun to have the tables turn and ask you some questions for a change, man, but it was fun to have you on.
Thanks for having me, mate. And thanks for everything you do with us and our community too, mate. Always appreciate you, brother.
Cool. All right, brother.
Awesome.
Cheers.
See you, man.
And that is a wrap. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe, because these are going to drop the first week of every month in 2021. We've got a stack of guests lined up. These are going to be really fun, and we're going to deep dive into the minds of entrepreneurs and sellers that make this community so freaking cool. Until next time, see you guys.